You ever feel like you're stuck, but can't explain why? Like something's fogging up your view of the world, and no matter how hard you try, everything seems blurred, distant, off? James felt that way for years. A good job, a family, even a little house he once dreamed of owning. And yet, most mornings he sat on the edge of his bed staring at the floor, wondering if he was missing something. There wasn't a tragedy to point to, just a dull ache, a sense that he wasn't fully here. One day, his 7-year-old daughter asked, "Daddy, why don't you smile in the mornings anymore?" He didn't have an answer. That question haunted him. It was the beginning of a quiet unraveling. He started searching, not outside, but within. Therapy didn't click. Books gave him temporary comfort. Even meditation felt like just another task. One evening, walking home through an older part of town, he noticed a small sign on a wooden gate. Inner Reflection, Master Kaito. Curious, maybe desperate, he entered. Inside, an old man sat beside a dusty mirror. The room was quiet. The master pointed at the glass and asked, "What do you see?" James squinted. Nothing. The surface was too grimy. The man handed him a cloth and said nothing more. For the next hour, James wiped the glass in silence. Slowly, shapes began to emerge. First light, then form, then his own reflection. But what struck him most wasn't what he saw. It was what he hadn't been seeing all along. The old man finally spoke. "This mirror is your mind, covered in dust, old fears, regrets, beliefs that no longer serve you. You don't need to change the world to see it clearly. You need to clean the lens." Those words landed like thunder. James thought back to how he rushed through his days, reacting, pleasing, proving, always noise, always motion, rarely stillness. He realized he'd spent years trying to fix the world outside when the fog was on the inside. That night, he didn't feel enlightened. He felt raw, exposed, but also awake, like someone had drawn open the curtain and sunlight, after years, finally poured in. The following weeks were not dramatic. No grand epiphanies, just small choices. Waking up without grabbing his phone, sitting in silence before the chaos began, writing down the thoughts that scared him, just to look them in the eye. He apologized to his wife, not for a single mistake, but for years of absence behind open eyes. He listened to his daughter's stories, even the long ones with no point. Slowly, the dust began to clear. The world didn't change, but he started noticing it again. The way sunlight moved across the kitchen wall, the warmth of a passing smile, and most of all, the stillness that had always been there, beneath the noise. One afternoon, James found himself helping a friend who had hit a wall, overwhelmed, burned out, lost. The friend talked about switching careers, moving to a new city, starting over. James listened, then quietly said, "Before you change everything, try cleaning the mirror." His friend looked puzzled, so James told him the story, not to give advice, but to pass on something that felt real. He realized then how many people are walking around with dusty mirrors, convinced the world is broken, when in fact their view is just covered, and no one ever taught them how to wipe it clean. Years later, the mirror still hangs in James's home, spotless. Not because it stays clean on its own, but because he learned to tend to it. Some mornings, the dust returns, old doubts, buried fears, the weight of the world. But now he sees it for what it is, not reality, just residue. He wipes it gently, breathes, reconnects, and every time, the world sharpens back into focus. Maybe that's all clarity is, the quiet discipline of returning, again and again, to ourselves. Because the world isn't something we find out there. It's something we learn to see once the mirror is clear.